Hello guys, welcome to another video, and in this video we are going to go another section for the CCNA Security, and it's going to be 2.3a, and this is going to go over identify the functions of 802.1x components. So this is what we're going to go over, and then after that we're going to do a lab. Um, so the lab is going to be with ITProTV. So if you guys do not have IT Pro TV, go ahead and sign up. They have a free 7-day trial, so you can try. And if you want to keep it, I have a coupon that you can use, which is CCNA DT, CCNA D for dog and T for tango or taco. So CCNA DT, and you can use a coupon and you can get 30% off IG Pro TV. And this is the course that I'm following because it is really good and they hit all the details or other sections for the CCNA security. I have used them before for the CCNA when I was starting for my CCNA, and it was really good because I was able to pass easily with everything they gave me. So, and whenever you sign up, you have to sign up for a premium one so you can get access to the virtual labs. Like I said, you can get a 7-day trial. You can just go ahead and try it, and if you like it, um, just to make sure that you use that coupon, CCNA DT, so you can get 30% off. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with this PowerPoint presentation. Um, so we are going to identify the functions of 802.1x components. And what is 802.1x, right? 802.1x is an IEEE standard, which means that it was not invented, it was not developed by Cisco, and it is for port-based network access control, or PNAC. It is part of the IEEE 802.1 group of networking protocols. Port-based authentication provides a security mechanism to allow or disallow connectivity to a device connected to a specific port. The device attempting to connect to such port is called a, a, supplicant. Okay, a supplicant. The supplicant can be an end user device, such as a computer or an IP phone, or it can be another network device. And I'm going to show you a picture that I have over here that I stole from IT Pro TV. Thank you guys. Like I said, they have a lot of good stuff, and they always have pictures which I like. Um, and as you can see right here, this is how 802.1x works. This supplicant, which is this one right here, as you can see, it is a computer. The authenticator, which is the router, and then the authentication server, which is the TACAX right here. You can use TACAX, right? And this is how it works. So the computer's trying to get access to that port, and it sends over to the authenticator, which is the router. The router then it then asks the supplicant for the username and password, right? And then the supplicant sends the username and password to the authenticator, and the authenticator says, "Hey, TACAS, is this username and password allowed on this port?" And then the authentication server says, "Yes, it matches." And then it sends that over all the way to the computer, and it says you may enter, and then it lets you have access to the network because it lets you have access to that port. Okay, so that's just the basics of 802.1x. If you want to learn more, you can go ahead and Google it if you think like you did not get it, but it is simple. It is as simple as that. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go over to IT Pro TV. Like I said before, you can get 30% off IT Pro TV by using CCNA DT promo code, CCNA DT promo code. So I've launched number 17, which is this one right here. And also, if you want the commands, they put all the commands over here. So you can just go ahead and copy all the commands and you can save it. So whenever you want to go over the lab again. But if you go to the practice lab, it also gives you the steps that you can follow. Over here, as you can see, it gives you other code like do this step 1, step 3, and all of that. But I have the code or the commands already. So I'm just going to go ahead and start, and we're going to make sure that whenever you use this, make sure to fire up this one over here, which is the computer. And the IP address for this one, you can just do an ipconfig, ipconfig, and it's 192.168.16.10. So let's go ahead to network to the router NYH1 and let's see if we're able to ping that computer. If we're not able to ping it, we won't be able to do this lab, right? So it was 192.168.16.10. Oops, too many dots. There we go. So we are able to ping that this computer over here. So we have connectivity. So that's good. Now we can move on. And let's go ahead to config. Oops, if I know how to spell. Config config t. There we go. And now from here, what we need to do is we need to enable the port-based authentication on the router. And the way to do that is you need to do CISP enable, right? And what this does is that it enables the CISP, which stands for Client Information Signaling Protocol. And what this does is it enables device-to-device communication. Okay, and this one also needs to be enabled on the NY Core 1, which we're going to do after we configure NYH1. So after that is enabled, you need to go ahead and enable AAA on the router, right? So let's go ahead and enable AAA new model. And if you don't know what AAA means, just go ahead to my YouTube and I have plenty of AAA configurations on my YouTube channels. So go ahead and go over there if you don't know what AAA is. So then after that, you need to do a 888 authentication, right? We can do a question mark. And as you can see right here before all my videos, we should just do login. But what we're going to do is we're going to set authentication list for IEEE 802.1x, which is .1x. So if you do .1x here, and then we are going to leave it as default over here, and we are going to what we're going to do is we're going to use the local account, which we have not configured yet, and we are going to do that now. And you can do a username. We're going to leave it as my name, and then password is going to be Cisco. Simple as that. And that's what we're going to use to log in the local. We're going to use the local account and this username and password, right, to authenticate to that port. Um, and then after that, after we do that, we have to go to and enable 802.1x port-based authentication on the router. And the way you do that is you do it .1x system auth control. That's how you enable port-based authentication on the router, or this is how you enable the 802.1x port-based authentication on the router. Okay, and then you hit enter. And then after that, we need to go to the interface where we have to configure this 802.1x. And if you go to let's go ahead to the previous, because the previous is the one that has the lab diagram. And as you can see right here, the H1 is connected to NY Core 1 on gigabit 0/0. So that is the one that we need to configure. So let's go ahead and configure that interface gigabit 0/0. And then after that, what you need to do is authentication, right? Authentication. Let's do a question mark over here. And the one that we need to do is we need to configure the port control because we are going to control that port control. And then we are just going to set this as auto. We don't want to do the force authorized or force unauthorized, just do auto. And then after that, you need to configure .1x. And if we do a question mark over here, you can see that there's different ones over here, but the one that we need to set is the 802.1x interface, PAE type, and we need to do PAE, and then authenticator, and then press enter. And you guys are wondering, what does PAE stands for? It stands for Port Access Entity, okay? That's what it stands for. And then you can just do an N over here, And then from here, what we need to do is we can do a show that one X all, so we can see what we have configured. And as you can see, we have only configured gigabit 0/0, and to be a PAE, like I said, stands for port access entity, authenticator, port control sets to auto, direction to both, single host, and all that good stuff. So now what we need to do is we need to go to NY Core 1 and configure as well, which is this one right here, NY Core 1. So you can just press enter on that one. Let's go and enable config T. And then from here, like I said, you also need to configure or enable CISP. So enable that. Then triple A new model. You need to configure also triple A. And then we need to do it that one X and the credentials that we want to use. And we want to use NYH1. And we do an underscore right here and then PAE profile. That's what we're going to call the credentials. And then from here, we need to configure what the username that NYH1 is using, which is Oscar, and the password that it's using, which is Cisco, right? And then we can just go ahead and exit out of here. And then from here, we need to do a .1x um, supplicant, and this is going to we're going to set this to force multicast. Okay, press enter right here, and then after that, we need to do. I want to do a debug um, dot 1x. Oh, oops! Actually, you need to go to the enable mode and do a debug dot 1x. Oh, so we can see that it is working, because when it is working, we're going to see a lot of messages over here. So we're going to set that debug, and then it's going to config T. And then now what we need to do is we need to configure that interface on NY Core 1. As you can see, it is Fast Ethernet 101. So we need to go over there and configure that interface Fast Ethernet 101, because that's the one communicating with NYH1, which is the one that we configure. So now we need to go to Fast Ethernet 101, like we are over here. And then what we need to do, we need to set this switch port. We need to set this as a trunk encapsulation .1 Q. And then after that, do a switch port mode trunk. Okay, because this needs to be a trunk. And then after that, we go ahead and set up a, oops. Okay, so it went up, it went down, then it went up. Then we need to set up a .1x PAE supplicant, because this one is the supplicant, and press enter, and then .1x credentials, and we are just telling which credentials you want to use. You want to use the NYH1 underscore PAE profile, which is the one that we configure over here. Let's see if we can we just copy from here? Let's see to make sure that we are using the correct one. And it won't let me paste. Let's see if there is something. Paste, okay. Copy. Oops. So we want to, let's go ahead and do it again. Copy, paste, paste. Let's go ahead and paste that over here. There you go. So now as you can see, we are getting a lot of stuff now already because it has been configured. So since we enable that debug, we enable that debug.1x oh, now we are getting a lot of messages, and it looks like it is working. Enter call, so it is working right now, and we set up the correct profile, so that is good. And the way that you can test this is by, look at that, it's still the debug is still coming on. I think it's every 30 seconds that we are going to get a debug message from that one X. And what we want to do is we have to go to NYH1, and to make sure that it's working, we need to go do a ping 192.168.16.10, and we're going to just repeat to 100, and let's see if it works. And there we go. It looks like it is working correctly the way we wanted it. And as you can see right here, we're still getting debug messages. So guys, this is all for this video. And if you guys enjoy, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Um, and also go ahead and follow me on Twitter. If you have a Twitter account, follow me on Twitter at CCNA Daily Tips. And if you do not have a Twitter account, go ahead and create a Twitter account and then follow me, guys. I have a lot of good stuff coming on. And also, if you guys want to, since they have a lot of good labs, and if you want to use ITProTV, you can just go ahead and use CCNA DT so you can get 30% off. And you need to get the premium version so you can get the labs, and it also have a practice test that you can test that you can take for the CCNA security, and they have a bunch of other videos like AWS for Apple, Windows, Linux, a lot. They have a lot of videos, guys. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.